Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn recursion. Recursion is a way of programming in which a function call itself again and again number of times. Usually it is returning the return value of this function call. So if a function definition fulfills the condition of the recursion, we call this function as a recursive function. Now when a function call itself, it has to terminate at some time to stop calling itself. So a recursive function terminates if with every recursive call, the solution of the problem is downsized and it moves towards a base case. So for a recursion to stop, it should have a base case. Now what is a base case? A base case is a case where the problem can be solved without further recursion. That means in that base case, there will be no further calling of the function. It will be returning the value final. Now, please note a recursion can lead to an infinite loop if the base case is not met in the calls and may give you an error as the recursion may exceed its depth. Now, recursion, how does it solve the problem in the recursive? It uses stack. Now, you know what is stack? Stack follows LIFO data structure, last in, first out. Stack is used to store and restore the recursive function and its argument, and it divides a problem into smaller pieces until reaching to a solvable piece. So that solvable piece is finally the base case where it will stop calling itself. Let me give you one example of finding a factorial recursively. Now, how do we find a factorial of a number supposing given as 4? Now, please look here. This is fact 4, where n is passed as 4. Now, fact 4 will be storing in a stack 4 into fact of 3. So, actually, it will be calling the fact again by passing what? N minus 1 as an argument. So, if n is 4, n minus 1 will be 3. So, this will call to calling the function fact again by passing now n as 3. So, when n as 3 is called, again the definition will be stack what value will be returned is n, which is 3 into fact call again by n minus 1. So 3 minus 1 will be 2. This will again call fact 2 and fact 2 will return 2 into calling the function fact by passing 1. Fact 1 again will be called 1 into fact of 0. Now it is for you to decide where should my base case be there. Should we end the base case at fact 1? No, according to mathematics, 0 factorial is also defined, which is 1. So we should not stop here. We should go till fact of 0. Now, as you can see, what is n value here passed as an argument to fact? It is 0. Now, this is my base case and I am not returning any call to further function calling. Rather, I am returning a value called 1. Now, what is 1? As we know, 0 factorial is 1. Why aren't we going further? Because the factorial of a negative number is not defined. So, we are not going further. So, whenever you have to write a recursion program, imagine this diagram in your mind. If I have to write it in a stack, how would I have written the program? So, the same way you will be designing. So, if we'll see the logic now, as you know, last in first out is done. So fact 0 is evaluated as 1. It will be popped and this value will be replaced on fact 0. So fact 0 is now 1. So fact 1 we got the answer as 1 into 1. Then fact 1 value will be replaced here as 1 into 1. So it will be now 2 into 1 into 1. Now fact 3 will be 3 into fact 2 and we have already got the answer of fact 2, which is 2 into 1 into 1. So fact 3 will be 3 into 2 into 1 into 1. And then the next value will be withdrawn from the stack, which is 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 into 1. So this will be the final value that will be printed on the screen. So factorial 4 is nothing but 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 into 0. So what is main in deciding is what should be the function calling definition within the factorial is you should say return the value n into fact of n minus 1. So fact is being called again by passing n minus 1. And what is your base case? The base case is if fact 0 has been called there, n is 0. If n is 0, it should not further call the factorial, rather return the value 1. So the final value that will be returned from the stack will be 4 factorial is 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So let's see the Python programming now. The same thing that I have explained you, we are going to write the same thing, call the fact function by passing the n. Now there are basically recursion replaces loops. So there won't be any loop, rather there will be a further call to the function itself, which is fact. So let's see the same thing over here, that if your n is 0, that means fact 0 has come to a function called fact 0. It will now not call the function factorial again, rather it will return the final value 1. And now it will backtrack in the stack. And if n is not 0, then return what is? Call the function again by passing n minus 1. And n value will be multiplied with factorial of n minus 1. So this is how, as you can see, so when fact 4 is called, it will be 4 into fact 3. Fact 3 is 3 into fact 2. Fact 2 is 2 into fact 1. Fact 1 will be 1 into fact 0. And fact 0 is our base case where we will stop calling and we will return the final value as 1. Now, LIFO order will be used, and the last in value what was there will be taken out first, which is fact 0 is 1. It will be replaced here 1 into 1, then 2 into 1 into 1, then 3 into 2 into 1 into 1, and then 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 into 1. So the final value will be this, which will be returned to us. So I hope this factorial function is clear, and the same I have shown through a diagram where you can make it very clear, see it very clearly. If factorial has been called by passing 5, 5 factorial is 5 into 4 factorial, 4 is 4 into 3, 3 into 2, 2 into 1 factorial, 1 into 0 factorial, and last base case is 0 factorial, which will be not calling the function again. It is returning the value 1. And now it will do the backtracking 1 into 1, 2 into 1 into 1, 3 into 2 into 1, 3 into 2 into 1 into 4, and then 3 into 2 into 1 into 4 into 5 will be done. So this is how recursion takes place. Now next program on recursion is summing up the natural number. So we'll take a number, let's suppose if it is 5, then again imagine how will you say sum 5 is? It will be returned value is in the stack will be 5 plus sum called again by passing 4 now. So 4 will be 4 plus sum of 3. 3 will be 3 plus sum of 2. 2 will be 2 plus sum of 1. Now there are two things. You could have stopped at n equals to 1 by returning the value 1. Now if you would have stopped at n equals to 1, return the value 1. Or if you went further one more step as 1 is equals to sum of 1 is 1 plus sum of 0. And now if n is 0, return 0. Because 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 will be the same answer as 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 0. Am I clear? So let me run this program for you. Let's run the number. If it is 4 and 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 is 10. Now even if I say n as 1 and return 1, I'll get the same answer. So can you see? So because further adding 1 may plus 0 will not make any difference to the addition, because number when added with 0 still remains the same number. So I could have stopped my base case over here, or I could have gone further. Now instead of writing return 1, you could have even said return n, because if n is 1, if n equals to 1, that means it is returning 1 only. So it is a matter of how do you frame your program code. So you can do it in any way. Now I took a snapshot from the pythontutor.com and I am just going to show you the same working. So it makes the coding more clear. Like sum was called by passing 4. Now 4 value is being stored in the stack and called sum 3. 3 being stored and called sum 2. 2 being called and 2 being stored in the stack and called sum of 1, and 1 being stored and called sum of 0. Now what is the final value it is returning? 0. So the 0 value will be added with 1. 1 plus 0, the final return value will be 1. Now it will be returning back that value, that will be 2 plus 1 plus 0, which is 3. And now it will be added with 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 0. The return value is 6. And now 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 0 will be the return value. So the return value is 10. So this is how, if you will imagine it in a form of a stack in your mind, you will be easily able to write the Python logic. Now our next question is how to sum up the elements in a list recursively. Let me tell you, you can do this program in many different ways. This is one way in which I have done. Now I'm calling the function SumList by passing few elements in the list. Now how am I proceeding? I am returning in my stack what? L0. So right now L0 will be 1. Is that clear? Now I'll be adding 1 plus, calling the sum again but reducing my list. Now my list is from 1 onwards. So 1 onwards will be 2, 47, 7 and 3. This will be my list. So sum function will be called again by reducing the list, excluding the member that I have already added. So L0 I have already added. L0 plus calling the sum list again by reducing the length of the list. Now the list has been reduced and now it is 2, 4, 47, 7 and 3. Now when should I stop? What should be my base case is when the length of the list is 0. That means now there are no more elements and I should return 0, because 0 when added with anything will not make a difference. So I'm finding out the length every time. Now 2, 47, 7 and 3 have been passed first time. Now what is the length of this list? 1, 2, 3, 4. So is 4 equals to 0? No. The control will go to else and will again in the stack put sum of L0. L0 is now what? 2. So 1 will be added with 2. Is that clear? Now sum list will be again called by reducing the list and the list will be 47, 7, 3. Now what is the length of the list? 3. Is 3 equals to 0? No. Again it will say return 47 plus. Again the list will be called by passing 7 and 3. Is the length 0? No. Again 7 plus sum of call function by passing the list. Now the list will be only 3 in it. Is the length 0? No. So L0 will be 3 plus call the function again by passing the list, and now there are no more elements. So the length of the list will be 0. So returned value will be 0. Now in the stack it will do backtracking. So it will be 0 plus 3 plus 7 plus 47 plus 2 plus 1. And the final answer, as you can see, will be 60. So you can change the value accordingly and see the result. Now it will be 61. So this is the coding for recursively summing up the elements in a list. Next is to find the Fibonacci series. Now in the Fibonacci series, you know the first element is 0, the second element is 1 and the others are calculated by the addition of the previous two. So supposing x is a term given by the user and the term was 5. So for I in range 0, for I in range 5 will be called and I value will be 0. So Fibo 0 will be called. So is 0 less than equals to 1? True. So value returned will be n itself, which is 0. Next time Fibo 1 will be called. Is 1 less than equals to 1? True. So the returned value will be 1. Next time 2 will be called. Is 2 less than equals to 1? No, it will go here and the Fibo will be again called by the sum of the previous two terms, which is 0 and plus 1. So the third term will be 1. Now the fourth term will be the sum of previous two terms, 1 plus 1, which is 2. And then 3 will be the sum of 2 plus 1, which is 3. So this is how you will get the Fibonacci series recursively. Now our next program is how to go about linear search. So here I have given the value to be searched is 6. Now what is happening? It is again the same way that I have done it earlier. I am first passing the entire list and the ELE is the element to be searched in the list, which is 6. Now again I am reducing the length of my list and I am searching the element. So what is L0? In the beginning when my list is this, L0 is 1. Is 1 equals to 6 the element that I am looking for? If this condition is satisfied, it will say true, found the value. Now, in this case, it will not be so. Is 1 equals to 6? No. Is length of the list 0? No. Where will the control go? 12. And it will return. Linear search will be called again, and by reducing the length of the list, which will be from 1 onwards and which will be this much. Now this much is the list again and the element to be searched is 6. So this program will go recursively. Is 2 equals to 6? No. So now next time the length will be this. Is 44 equals to 6? No. Next time the length will be this. If 6 equals to 6? Yes, true. It will return true. Now, if supposing the returned value was not true, it will eventually go and make the length of the list 0. So if finally the length of the list has reached 0, that means in between it did not find the element. So we have to say return false. So true and false for a linear search. Now you can see by when I gave the element as 6, it gave me true. The element is there in my list. If I will give 22, it will give me false. The element is not there in my list. I hope all the programs of recursion till here are clear. Follow my next video to have some more programs on recursion.